To watch more Bhagavad Gita discourse videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Now comes Dhriti. I think you have understood enough about this Buddhi. Now comes Dhriti. I said that the Buddhi, with Buddhi, whatever we understand, with Dhriti we hold that, retain that. The purpose of Sattvika Dhriti, because it is Sattva Guna, it will retain the Yoga Buddhi. It will tie you, it will anchor you to Yoga Buddhi. Holds one or anchors one to Yoga Buddhi. Yoga Buddhi we have discussed quite a lot. What is that? When our Buddhi is anchored in the soul. How will it be anchored in the soul? The soul dimension will be projected there. Whenever we are selfish, we will try to become non-selfish. Whenever we are partial, we will try to become impartial. Whenever we are having some personal view, we have to become impersonal. Whenever I am feeling affected, we have to think that I am unaffected, so try to incorporate unaffectedness. These are the way we are becoming anchored to the soul. So it is ready. Don't say that it is theoretical. It's all practical. These are the ways we have to do the sadhana. So Sattvika Dhriti is one which holds us to Yoga Buddhi. Rajasika Dhriti, it activates us with Bhoga Buddhi. Yoga and Bhoga. It will be easy. Just if you write down Yoga, Bhoga and Moha, it will be easy to remember. So Rajasika Dhriti is which will activate us with the Bhoga Buddhi, that is to enjoy. That Rajoguna will always force us to enjoy. That means do whatever I like and I will become happy by doing it. If it is ego or it is desire, both way. That is, he would like to always become a leader or if it is too strong, he would like to lead something that people should listen to me. These are the Rajoguna properties. That is a bhoga for them also. The ego is a bhoga there. Tamasika Dhriti immerses one in delusion. That means andhakara, that is not understanding what is right, what is wrong, and what is to be done, what is not to be done. So the tamoguna will immerse us in ignorance, in moha, in delusion. So if you just remembered these three words, yoga, bhoga, moha, it is enough. Yoga for sattvaguna, bhoga for rajoguna, and moha for tamoguna. We will generally have all the three with us. Dhritya yaya dharayate
Dhrityayaya dharayate
manah pranendriya kriyaha
manah pranendriya kriyaha
yogena vyabhicharinya
yogena vyabhicharinya
dhritissa partha sattviki
dhritissa partha sattviki
dhritya yaya dharayate
dhrityayaya dharayate
manah pranendriya kriyaha
manah pranendriya kriyaha
yogena vyabhicharinya
yogena vyabhicharinya
dhritissa partha sattviki.
Dhritissa partha sattviki.
He says, by that dhriti, by which dhriti, that is dhritya, tritiya vibhakti. Yaya dharayate, yaya dhritya dharayate. That means holds on. Dharayate means holds on, retains, anchors. Mana prana indriya kriyaha. Mana pranendriya kriyaha. The activities of the mind, of the vital energy, prana, and the sense organs. That is, they are all activity. The mind is active, the vital energies are active, breath. and the sense organs. That all the activities with this dhriti, they will hold or anchor in what? Yogena abhyabhicharinya. Both all are tritiya vibhakti. Yogena abhyabhicharinya. Hold it to yoga. What kind of holding? Abhyabhicharinya. Vyabhichara means desultoriness. Abhyabhichari means non-desultory. That means one-pointedness. That is sometimes in yoga and sometimes, no, today let me have bhoga enough. Tomorrow again I will have yoga. That is vyabhichari. It holds the mind, senses and the breath, pranendriya, on to yoga in an abhyabhichari manner, in a non-desultory manner. That is not moving away from that. Such a dhriti is called sattvika dhriti. Now, why they have not mentioned buddhi? They have mentioned only mana pranendriya kriyaha. Because this dhriti is originating from the sattvika buddhi. Sattvika buddhi is giving rise to the sattvika dhriti. How will you hold the mind, indriyas and the breath? It is guided by the buddhi only, guided by the sattvika buddhi, the viveka buddhi. Is it clear? So, such a dhriti which is arising out of the sattvika buddhi is called the sattvika dhriti. So, it will always tell you whatever is the pravritti, whatever is the nivritti. Tell you when I say it is the buddhi. But the buddhi has to translate or has to make into a dhriti, has to get into the dhriti. Then when the buddhi is telling that this is bandha, this is moksha, the dhriti will allow us to follow it. To persistence, have the persistence to follow it. Without the dhriti, although the buddhi is telling us, we will not follow. You get it? Only the buddhi is telling, the mind will not listen. It is the dhriti. That is why we always say that the dhriti comes out of your sadhana. That is the real sadhana. Buddhi can become enlightened, but the dhriti will not follow it. There lies the problem. That is why if you can discriminate very well, but don't follow whatever you think to be the correct, then we don't call it viveka. It is discrimination in English, all right, we accept. But in Sanskrit, you cannot call it viveka. That discrimination is not viveka. Viveka means whatever you discriminate and find out to be true, you have to follow that. Then only it is viveka. That is how viveka will automatically lead you to vairagya. So, in the dhriti, our ruchi, our taste, our practices, our samskara will get mixed. You will find even in some saints also, some stealth. That stealth they are not able to get over. When we look at the foot also, we find that the stealth has gone to the physical level. Seeing the formation of the foot and the toes and all, we can understand that stealth is too much. In such cases, generally the guru will say that don't take to sannyasa, or some corrections will be given. Because when it has gone deep inside the physical features, it means it is very deep, it is almost genetic. One will find it very difficult to get over such stealth or any other such thing. It could be about sex also, about many things. Giving sannyasa, the guru has to be very careful that whether the person will be able to keep it. So certain things he has to observe. And we have found that when it is showing up in the gross physical level, however you may try, it doesn't go. It doesn't go. Simply doesn't go. But suppose your eyes are showing some impurity or the face is showing some impurity. You see that the moment you are happy, the face becomes different. The moment you are sorry or depressed, the face becomes long. Is it not so? So they are immediately responding to the emotions. That means they are flexible. So if there is a defect, suppose you are depressed also, the face is long, we can make it cheerful because it's not gone that deep, you can do. But when the depression has gone to such a level that it has changed some gross feature of the body, that depression cannot be treated. Cannot be treated. You can give some medicine and he will be behaving more or less okay. But spiritual treatment becomes extremely difficult. And in such cases, people, they say they accept it, that stealth is there, what can be done? Sometimes he behaves with the stealth, you have to accept it. So, dhriti comes there. The dhriti, in buddhi you can understand the great philosophy if you have discrimination. But in holding to that, following that, the dhriti, it needs samskara. Samskara means the culture, how much you have cultured, how much in the family also it will depend. That is it. Some of the elements will come down to the gene. Then what have you practiced? How much of sadhana you have done? If you don't do the sadhana, just having a very intelligent, very sharp intelligence, dhriti will not come. You have to, abhyasa is necessary. That is why Krishna says that abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. How are we to hold ourselves on this path? Abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasa is the centripetal force. Abhyasa means either you meditate or you contemplate or you practice through analysis, whatever. These are all abhyasa. Is it not? Studying the Shastras, meditating, analyzing, doing vichara. These are all abhyasa. The most powerful abhyasa is vichara, evaluating what I am doing and what should be done, etc. So this abhyasa is always making us anchored in ourself, in our inmost truth, inmost being. It's generating the centripetal force to our being. Is it not? Centripetal means which is bringing us back, because always in the world we are going astray. We are always running after outward. Abhyasa makes us anchored inside. And vairagya is actually loosening the outward pull. That is the centrifugal force we are having from the world. You call it centrifugal. Why? It is taking us away from the center. All the pulls and pushes, the likes and dislikes, the raga dvesha, they are always taking us away from the anchorage. So, if you can, two things we are doing. We are generating more of centripetal force to get anchored, and we are reducing the centrifugal force by practicing vairagya. Vairagya means having the true vision. That means not being affected by the partial vision, not getting pulled by the desires, not getting pushed by the intolerance. That will determine the vairagya. It will become loose. So, you will not be affected by anything happening outside. The pull will not be so strong as it used to be. So, generating both the centripetal force by abhyasa and reducing the centrifugal force by vairagya. This is how we develop the dhriti.
Join our live event on the 10th, 11th and 12th of October 2020. Register at www.globalgeeta.org.